the perfection is not something created. We think of making something perfect or finding something perfect or something becoming perfect. We are very inclined towards improvement, personally and as a species. But the truth of the Buddha is that perfection could never be not. It's the only thing that really is the perfection. Anything that has to become perfect is not Buddha. So, in a way, it's kind of an interesting concept, but the concept is fraught with peril, because no matter how you try to think about it, you can't really get there, because always it's the perfection. And for us to understand it, we're moving from not understanding to understanding, so our concepts are limited. So then what we begin to understand is that there's a lot going on that isn't perfect. That's how it seems to us. We get mad at God because there's, famine and war and poverty and unfaithful husbands. We get mad. How can there be an all good and wonderful God if God created everything and God made all this crappy stuff? So then we get confused about perfection. But perfection is not optional. It's not that it's perfect just because you're a good person. It's not that it's perfect just because you have the right education. It's not that it's perfect just because you're a human being or you have all the answers. It's not. It's perfect anyway. It's not even optional. So then what are we facing with all these other trials and tribulations and miseries and discord and there's mosquitoes. Like, how would God do that? Well, what we understand from the Buddha's teaching is that God wouldn't do that. God is good. However you understand what God is, generally we don't kind of go for the old man sitting on a throne in the sky playing board games with your life. We don't really go along with that particular idea of God or goodness. We think that God is a quality of perfection that permeates the totality of reality. But us, as ordinary people, though we have this perfect essence, we have this perfect nature, we don't see things very well. Our, body-mind continuum of reality is not seeing the whole picture. And what we see is what we get, not what's really true. And so this brings us to a very great imperative to change and tame your own mind, because our mind is making us victims of experiencing suffering and misery because we do not understand what the real truth of reality is. We are locked in a lot of false assumptions. And acting and reacting within those false assumptions perpetuates greater and greater suffering and misery for ourselves and for everyone who doesn't understand their absolute perfection, the absolute perfection the nameless, pervasive, timeless, limitless, undefeatable, absolute perfection. So we have a problem. We have the problem. You may think it's your unfaithful husband who has the problem. You may think it's the Penilongus who have the problem. You may think that it's the weather, it's the traffic, it's everybody else in the world, including your sogra. The problem is everybody else, everywhere. They're making the problem. But that's not true, because someone is detecting the problem. Who is that? Where is that? How is that working? We don't understand our own mind. Buddha is the nature of your mind, the perfection that permeates your mind. Not just your hopes and fears, your successes and failures. Oh my goodness, we're so busy with all this improvement. But the truth of your absolute well-being is in your present perfect nature. But we're not there. We're not getting that. So, okay, we could complain, and most of the time we do. You know, we're heavy-duty complainers. I know, I've been complaining. Every little way I move, I'm complaining all the time. It's nothing very serious, just discomfort. But complaining, we're supposed to be comfortable. Why aren't we comfortable? We're supposed to be happy. Why aren't we happy? We're supposed to be free and rich and beautiful. We're supposed to be. Why not me? We're supposed to be loved. Why not me? What is wrong with all these people? But the Buddha is saying, well, maybe we have to look at things differently. We have to look back at our mind. And you need to understand, it's not just that you're right or wrong. It's that we don't understand what's happening to us. We don't understand why we have this perception. We don't understand why we feel this fear or this disappointment. We don't understand why we're not appreciated. We don't understand how our own mind works. How amazing is it, our mind? And yet we do not understand it. And so the Buddha was one who attained realization of Buddha, therefore called Buddha, because that perfection is findable. It's findable because it's not losable. And therein lies the path. Why we listen to teachings, why we meditate, because it is knowable, the true nature of your being. It is conquerable, your delusion and confusion and hope and fear. And actually, nobody can do that but you. You have to deal with your own mind. Nobody else can.